Welcome back to this week's episode of COD Fun. We are here with Miss Parker.
Hello.
And we are going to be discussing just things about gaming and just video games as a whole.
And kind of introducing more like newer games to older timer gamers.
So let me just preface this by saying I wanted to get on because I grew up with the original Nintendo, the first PlayStation, N64. So it's been a long time since I played any games.
Old timers.
And these two I know are just the masters of gaming systems. So I thought we could have a good conversation of what do I need to know or what games would be good for somebody who doesn't have a lot of knowledge about it. So can I ask my first question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so, okay, I'm a millennial, which I know you consider an old-timer, but what gaming system would you say is best for the millennials, Gen Xers, boomers?
I wouldn't go with any, like, computer formatting gaming because, like...
What does that mean?
Like... Going through any launchers or browser gaming like that because you have to know how to go
anything
through files
involving computers. It's exactly why there's gaming consoles. You know, you got PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo stuff, but PlayStation, Xbox is your main two. Those are the ones I would suggest.
And, like most controller stuff.
Wait,
like,
is
that's
the Nintendo 64 gone? Like, there's no more Nintendos?
Well,
no, they still have
they
like
still
the
got
Switch.
stuff like that.
Nintendo still makes stuff.
Oh, okay, but the
'Cause they
Switch is
still
like
release
what you
stuff.
can travel with, right?
Yeah, but it's all like controller, like pads and stuff. So
Okay, so PlayStation or Xbox?
Yeah, it's the main suggestion because most streamlined would be the controller because eventually down the line, yes, you can try going into PC stuff, but you'd have to know how to hook up the stuff. And just PlayStation, Xbox will teach you how to do a lot of the stuff.
Which Xbox is better, but
Oh.
Of course, we already had this
Is there a
argument. We had
disagreement
this
here?
argument on an earlier podcast episode. I'm still not changed from saying that PlayStation's better, even though Gavin's.
yeah,
still not
you have
changed.
fun with your $60 a game. I'll keep my $10 Game Pass.
So here's a good question so I grew up with the Mario Karts, the Zeldas, Sonic the Hedgehog.
So kind of like the platformers.
So tell me maybe some games now that could be comparable to those that maybe the millennials could join in on.
All three of those still exist now. That you have like
A lot of the older games these days have been rebooted, remade, so a lot of the original stuff.
When did the new Zelda come out? Because you have Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, I think, is what it is.
Well, I wasn't sure if Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom was the newest one.
Mm.
Because a lot of the older games, they would put in a more 3D format, which goes back to, like I said, controllers and stuff. Why I recommend, starting off with one of the two gaming consoles. Because the controller is practically the way you control everything. It's the modern day joystick.
Okay. I don't remember the game we used to. Oh, it was James Bond we used to play or something like that. But so tell me some of your newer games, maybe that would be similar to the Marios, the Zeldas, the James Bond type of Mission Impossible games that we used to play.
You think about it?
So, like newer, is that like platformers like hopping around? And James Bond, is that like shooting different directions?
It was
up, down?
shooting. It was a shooting game. I do remember that. Oh, we also had Mortal Kombat, which was a fighting game.
Yeah, no, they still have Mortal Kombat. They kept doing that. I think
with
the newest
fighting
one came out like a couple months ago.
Okay.
With fighting
Mortal
games, they're
Kombat's
still
fun.
keeping up. A lot of the stuff stays the same, especially with those kind of games, so they're easy to pick up on for newer gamers who played those kinds of games in the past. Just now you're doing with a controller.
And there's a couple more like buttons and controls.
Okay.
Like the Injustice games, Injustice 2, it's a bit of I'm not sure how old the game is, but I'd say it's a decent
What type is Injustice? Is that a fighting game?
Yeah, it's a fighting game.
Or is that's not the shooting game? I don't know what I'm actually doing.
Injustice is practically just Mortal Kombat, but with DC.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Except there's also Mortal Kombat / DC.
Yeah, you also got that stuff, the whole fighting game stuff. It hasn't really changed too much other than going from a 2D format to more 3D.
Okay.
And when it comes down to platformers, they're not as largely out there as they used to. Of
So
course,
you
got
guys
games
aren't
like,
really playing Mario and Zelda
well,
and
the games
Sonic.
are a lot different now. As I said, it's a lot more of the 3D versus 2D sphere.
There is platformers, but they're usually like AAA games, like AAA titles, like
Yeah.
Bandage Boy or whatever, like something like that.
I'm about to say there's also Portal, but I'm not sure if you'd consider that a
It's
platform.
like a platformer, like 3D, and like a puzzle kind of game.
It also teaches you to mess around with mechanics and stuff.
You guys are like speaking a completely different language. Okay, so if an old timer was coming back into playing games, what would be I don't know, tools, products that you would say? Obviously the console, but what else should we have that's just crucial to being a gamer?
Well, so with that, a console controller.
Does it not
Maybe
come
an-
with a controller anymore?
No,
No, it does.
It
It should.
still does.
If you buy a brand new.
But why do you get a new controller then? Like are they better?
Sometimes, so the strange part with controllers is eventually run into stick drift because you have the two sticks, and then eventually through use, it starts wearing down and then it starts drifting off.
Oh.
So that is
So
where we
that's a
come into
thing.
that.
And the thing that sucks about that is there's no way to fix it. Like once it happens, you throw the controller and get a new one.
It's like an iPhone, right? They just make them eventually run out for you. So how much is a good controller gonna run?
It depends on what kind of controller you're looking for. But
Yeah.
like if you want to get like a normal like Xbox controller brand new, it's like running $50 to $70 right now.
Well, the
Holy
thing is,
cow.
you can find, as I said, cheap good controllers. Like
Yeah.
I'm not even using a Sony official controller on my PlayStation. It has a minuscule amount of stick drift, but I still use it. It still works perfectly
And
fine
I
compared
just
to my
bought-
original PlayStation controller, where that thing you can't really use the sticks because it's just going off and doing.
Okay.
Because the thing is with stick drift, you're not actually seeing it. It's just the inputs are automatic to the game. So how it is that it's as if you're pushing the stick, even though it's completely still.
Okay.
It's just how the little sensor under it's registering the stick moving even though it's not.
Okay.
Now,
But I bought a new gen Xbox controller like last week, and it was like $50.
Okay. And are you getting these online or in a store?
yeah, stores.
So you can walk into Walmart. I go to a pawn shop.
Okay.
They sell them pretty cheap over there.
Okay.
Which, of course, then you also get between the wired and wireless controllers. Now, you don't really see much about the wired controllers these days, because I remember back when I used to play on the PS2, you'd have to have the controller hooked up.
It sucked.
Yeah,
never
that's what
mind.
I grew up with, so that's what I would assume.
Yeah, I was a big fan when playing my PS2, because I got the old games like Resident Evil 4 on there. I'm trying to think of a few others. SpongeBob Battle of the Bikini Bottom.
SpongeBob Battle of the Bikini Bottom?
Yes.
Well, I've never watched SpongeBob, so
Yeah,
that doesn't
So
register to me.
they rebooted that game actually for modern consoles too, which works as a semi-platform, I'd say. It's called SpongeBob Rehydrated.
Okay.
I never played any of those games.
So another question would be, minus the popular ones from my generation, what would be some games that you would recommend for newbies that you guys really enjoy, but people who are maybe not as sophisticated as you?
I'd have to say, surprisingly, Minecraft is a popular pick, but the controls is very easy once you start messing around with the stuff. It's a sandbox, so you can do anything with it.
So like random gen. Did you ever play Pokemon?
No, I'm too old.
Okay. So
But see,
I was in
Minecraft when
that
I grew
area.
up was like you could just click on a square box and you couldn't blow it up by the number next to it. Is that a different Minecraft?
So Minecraft is kind of like it's really easy once you get into it. Like the controls, you get the controls down, and it can also lead to playing different games like shooter games because you're getting the triggers and messing with other buttons.
Because it's all about also
Oh,
block
cool.
placement, removal of blocks. It's a lot
It's
more
really just a building game.
constructed.
So you're building like the muscle memory for different things that you
Mhm.
could use in other games.
Yes.
Like my little brother, he barely knew how to play Minecraft, and then just throughout time, which he's 9 now, said he could set him on that game and he'd be messing around with it for hours.
Okay.
Because it takes not as much effort to learn the game because it's not as advanced of a game as say Call of Duty.
And it's
It's
not there's
beginner-
not much pressure on you.
That's what
while
we
you're
call
playing the game.
one of the more beginner-friendly kinds of games.
Okay, and then so like the mission, I think it was James Bond. It was 007. You had all these missions and you had to try to kill the bad guys. So like what type of shooting game is fun
I'm trying to think
to
of
get
like,
into?
Shooting wise,
Well, I know there's also like the Tom Clancy games.
That's
Not
way
sure
too.
how-
That's way too competitive. Most of them.
Saying like
Six
Splinter
Siege.
Cell.
Six Siege is competitive. I've never played Splinter Cell, so I know that Siege is very competitive. It's not very good. It's not beginner friendly.
Okay,
I'm trying to
that's
think.
that's helpful.
It's like there is some games like, so this isn't exactly the best example. Spec Ops: The Line, or even the Gears of War franchise. It's just said you're going from one place to another, just linear, going through the missions.
Okay.
And then Call of Duty also has the campaign that's kind of like that.
Yeah, the campaign.
But Gears of War has a lot of controls, like more like rolling controls, because you can't roll in Call of Duty. It's just you running around.
Okay. And then are there any like fun sports game? Like I liked Wii bowling.
I played it. It's actually not bad.
I know that's all.
I know there's the FIFA games and Madden. I know I had a friend who used to play a lot of that.
I played NHL, like as my like first sports game as a kid. NHL 16. It was
Okay.
the year
I know they got-
Blackhawks won.
Ooh.
'Cause I know they got like football, soccer, hockey games, all those kinds of games. They have them. So-
And it's not like that.
Good.
It's
They
not as
even-
much motion.
Hi.
And it's kind of like a top down, like you're basically like you're watching like from a camera like you would on TV.
Okay. Okay. So, is there any other advice that you would have for the newbies as we kind of wrap this one up that maybe we should take into consideration if we look to get back into the gaming world? Maybe we're having children, or maybe grandkids or nieces and nephews want to play. How can we connect?
Oh, something just of general advice is to not put too much pressure into thinking about getting into games and stuff. You want to just take a simple route with it and then just learn as you go.
Okay.
Because there's no really guide online that's truly going to teach you all about gaming. It's just more of each
Just
of us
getting
form-
into it, really.
Yeah,
Just
we
getting
each
into
have to form our experiences with gaming
And
and then
finding
build
the
off
games
of
that
those.
work for you and that you
Yep.
enjoy so that you can. Okay. That's good advice. All right. This has been fun. What else do I need to know before you guys end this amazing podcast?
Well, it's just thinking about the genres of games because there's a large expansiveness now. Horror, we brought up here, platform fighting games, action games, story games.
Shooting, building. There's just like
Okay.
a wide.
It's so
variety of
expansive with
games.
the genre.
Okay.
Like with story games, I'd recommend like the Telltale games or even Detroit Become Human. Just if you're somebody big into stories, it gives you interactive stories that
That
you can
sounds
mess with.
fun. That sounds fun.
And there's like games for like each individual person. You find the game that you just love, and you will like play it for hours.
For hours and stay up till 2:30.
Stay until 2:30.
Okay.
You go to sleep and
Well,
sleep.
I'm old, so I go to bed at 8, so I have to start a little bit earlier. Got it.
As stated, it's just all about building the experiences and figuring out which games suit you the most.
And then we don't have to put on like a headset and talk to people around the
No,
world,
you
right?
can-
Because that
you
seems
can
weird
play-
to me.
So
It
there's
is.
plenty of games because online features is something extra. Like with Xbox and PlayStation, you have to actually pay for online, which is its own subscription. But otherwise,
Oh.
there's tons of games though that you can play completely single player offline,
Oh,
or
perfect.
even co-op to where you could have another person with you, just like sitting there next to you.
Like a local,
Okay.
like LAN kind of player thing.
Cool.
So anything else for us to handle?
I have nothing.
I think that'll wrap up this week's episode of Cod Fun.